I was chairman of the election committee of the Norske Bank, the biggest bank in Norway, in the 90s. I was chairman there for 7 years, and no, 9 years, and we had a goal to have 1/3 as women in the board, and we succeeded with that. And that was a long time before the law. And in Statoil, when I was chairman or CEO of Statoil in the 90s, we had 1/3 women in the board at that time.
So you had internal targets?
Absolutely. And many companies have had the goal to have diversity in boards for a long time. So in that respect, the law, when it came, was not that provocative to many, because in business in Norway, this has been some sort of a goal for many businesses. The challenge in most of the companies in Norway is that you have too few senior executives and executives in general. You have too few women in many of the companies in general. So that is still the concern if you see the major companies in Norway. That is the next challenge. I would like to say that there are enough candidates in Norway, both of men and women, in general. On the other hand, I would say that being a board member these days, compared to 15 years ago, much more challenging, much more demanding. The complexity of business, the complexity of the agenda for the board, is much higher. In that respect, my concern is that there are many competent people from many aspects, but when you are in the board, you have to understand the business. What are the success criteria for this company? What is the success criteria in this type of branch, in this type of business? What are the critical elements in this business? And to understand that, you both need time, and you need some sort of an ability to understand complex organization and complex markets and complex issues in general. And in that respect, there are not that many men and not that many women that very easily can take such a position without time, training, learning. Experience. But my experience is that, for instance, in Telenor, for instance, in Statoil, from our previous CEO position, in all boards I'm in, the women, they contribute at least as positively and competence-wise as good as men.
And are the men? Did men see them contributing in the same way?
But sometimes they have backgrounds that bring in other angles to the issue. That's the issue. That's the idea. That's the need. You need to see. You need to ask the right questions. You need to ask the wrong questions. You need to ask the questions that are provoking management and the rest of the board to really come to the grips with all type of risks and opportunities. And that is, to me, if I should generalize, and it's dangerous to generalize here, but I think women are more open to ask questions and to provoke than men in general. And women are also bringing in some other outside-in perspective that are very needed in companies. You see the agenda of a board today are different from what it was 10 years ago, in the way that the relationship to society is much more important. The understanding of corporate social responsibility issues are much more important. The human factor is much more challenging, and these issues are more often brought forward by women, and we need that.
Has there been any perception that some women have got onto companies that shouldn't have, just because they had to fill the quota?
Yes,
Right.
that also go for men. So that's going back to how, and I think we are now in a phase where the nomination committees and the companies in general are focusing much more on competence, quality, experience, background, variety. So the nomination committees of these days are working more on a regular basis all over the year to plan for the future, to plan for bringing forward candidates, to look outside Norway, to look into different parts of the Norwegian society, to really bring up some sort of a stock of candidates that could be candidates for the future boards. And that's the way of thinking that comes from such a law, force you into more of a thinking, planning for the future. That's good. It's not such that taking some of your good friends is so easy anymore.
So quota law has made women visible, but it has also perhaps led to some rethinking around the governance for Norwegian companies.
Absolutely. And you know, this law came at the same time as the corporate governance issues swept all over the world. The need for being more professional, the need for being a little bit more rigid in the thinking behind the responsibility of the board, the responsibility of the owner, the responsibility of the management. That came out of the corporate governance changes that started in UK in the early 90s, and we have seen it needed changes as a consequence of scandals all over the world. Government, now management stealing from the company and so on. And from that we have seen a change, more focused corporate governance, more rigid corporate governance, more professional way of managing boards. And so the women issue in Norway came at the same time as we had to strengthen the corporate governance. And I think the women issue has helped to professionalize the whole election and nomination of candidates, because we had to look broader and we had to be sure that we really were finding the competent people that could, in combination, the board be a good. I think be a good combination of competences and backgrounds, and I think that is the way I think that the board should be a team of people that can work well together, that in totality understands the business, but also the business in a wider context. And for meeting that, you need different types of people, not for the varieties as such, but for covering all aspects of a business life. And in that respect, the women has come in helping building that candidate list has been longer.
Is a diverse or a gender diverse board harder to chair?
No, it's more fun.
In what sense?
No, it's you get more. I like discussion. I like that we are up for debating during the process. I like the process in the board. I hate those type of boards, and we have still them in Norway, where the chairman of the board and the CEO has in a way made up their minds before the board meeting. What is needed is that the chairman chair the board, and the board is a board including the chairman, and they have the responsibility for managing the management. And in that respect, you need a board that really can raise all type of issues that prepare themselves very well. Women prepare themselves better than men in general, prepare themselves very well to the meeting, discuss, ask questions, come forward with your unpleasant feelings if you have some. It's talking up, saying what you feel. And women are better doing that. So that's making the board more fun, more lively, more exciting, in my view. If you should generalize, the time had come that this now was a necessary move, a necessary force to use to really see a change. And in that respect, I think it's positive, and I think this is not an issue anymore. The issue now is more, as I say, how to build a quality board. And that is the important issue. And then you are not discussing women. Then you are discussing individuals.